Hey there, all you beautiful souls. I hope your day has been absolutely fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you back for yet another exciting episode of What If Naruto Was the Descendant of Scorpion. Don't forget to pay a visit to the author of this captivating fanfiction and show them some love. You'll find the link waiting for you down in the description. If this what if is sparking your curiosity, drop a comment down below and share your thoughts. And while you're at it, don't miss out on exploring the plethora of other intriguing what ifs available on this very channel. Alright, let's not keep you waiting any longer, let's dive right into this thought-provoking video. Atakager no Sato. Genimaru. Sitting in a dark room, teenage male with tousled neck-length white hair, a strong chin, and dark purple eyes, sat against the wall with chains around his ankles and wrists. Across from him was female teenager with dark eyes and light blue hair, which was kept in a spiky ponytail with long strands of hair framing her face with bright red lipstick. Beside him was another teenage male with straight white hair with a light blue tint to it, almond-shaped purple eyes and sharp teeth. I'm scared. Orochimaru-sama never allows me to sit in a shared cell. The female teen said softly. Don't be scared, Genimaru told her with a confident smile. I'm sure everything will be fine. You're right. Orochimaru-sama would never let anything happen to us. He views us as his next vessels. Nothing bad can come from all of this, the female said with a hopeful smile. Stop looking so hopeful, the white-haired teen said with a sneer, his sharp teeth bared. Something bad is coming our way, I can feel it. Genimaru frowned at this and replied Sujetsu. I'm trying to keep Gurren calm. Stop trying to scare her. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me, something bad is coming, Sujetsu replied. It was then the door opened and Orochimaru was at the doorway. Orochimaru-sama, Gurren said ecstatically. Come with me, Orochimaru said softly. Otagakure no Sato. Shang Tsung. I believe this soul should work well for this body, Shang Tsung said as he stood over the husk Kabuto's body with a grin on his face. Despite draining the soul from him, the body was still alive for another hour before it would die, and Shang Tsung spent nearly that deciding on a soul to inhabit the body. But now, Shang Tsung found the perfectly strong but obedient soul to assist him. A green soul floated into Shang Tsung's hand before he shot it into Kabuto's body. All was silent for a moment before the body began to plump out and become a tint of green before Kabuto's eyes snapped open, revealing yellow slitted eyes. Welcome Sisyph. Or do you prefer reptiles still? Shang Tsung questioned curiously. Where am I? Reptile asked. You're in the Shinobi Nations. Our Lordess has returned me to life to eliminate her enemies that have survived Shao Kahn's awakening, and requires someone powerful to assist, and so brought you, Shang Tsung replied. Thanks Shang Tsung, I shall not fail you, Reptile said with a bow of respect. I know you won't, Shang Tsung replied before he placed his hands behind hands and said, Now stealth yourself and don't not reveal yourself until I say. I understand Shang Tsung, Reptile said before he faded out of existence. He then heard the door open and Orochimaru, followed by Genimaru, Sujetsu and Gurren. Shang Tsung smirked. Village of Hisako Hotel. Cage Teiwaya. Teiwaya. Wake up. Teiwaya opened her eyes to see the orange eyes of Fu staring down at her. Fu? The hell you want, sunset eyes? Teiwaya asked with a small yawn. Despite the light being off in her room, Teiwaya knew her comment had sparked a blush from the other girl. I know it's late and you're leaving tomorrow, but I wish to fight you again, Fu said. Teiwaya was now fully awake at these words. She slowly leaned up off her bed and stared Fu right in the eyes and said, I know we're rivals, but Fu's finger on her lip stopped her from talking further. Outside Teiwaya-chan. Fu said before she quickly slipped away. Well, fuck me. Teiwaya muttered. Village of Hisako Hotel. Yamanaka Ino. What's wrong Ino? Shikamaru asked. She can sense what is to befall you, a voice said from behind them. The group of genin turned around but without warning, a medium-sized beam of orange-red chakra shot out towards Ino. Ino, look out. Shino exclaimed as he pushed Ino away and due to this, he was struck in the chest by a beam, which then forced itself from out of his back, while knocking him off his feet. As Shino fell to the ground, his glasses flew off his face and landed in front of Ino, his now all-white eyes becoming visible to the group. The group screamed in horror as Shino's lifeless body laid on the ground, blood pooling from the gaping wound in his chest. Then, a small green orb flew out from his body and floated in the air, before it was immediately sucked away by an unseen force. Ino's eyes snapped open and she lurched out of bed, tears falling down her dilated eyes. Damn it. Ino whispered as she wiped her eyes and took a shuddered breath. Even though she had gotten the chance to thank him, the guilt for Shino's death was weighing heavily on her mind as it was, but now she was having nightmares about it. He'll be back. Just a few years. Ino whispered. Then, I can thank him more properly. Ino then stood up and walked out to the balcony of her hotel room, and saw Taewaya and Fu standing in front of each other. What is this? Ino thought curiously. I wasn't expecting you to wake me up just for another fight, Taewaya said. I know you guys are leaving tomorrow and I can sense a change in you, Fu replied with a grin on her face. So I wanted another match. I hope that doesn't bother you any, Taewaya-chan. Heh, bring it, Taewaya replied. Ino watched as the two immediately darted towards one another, and began to trade blows rapidly before their fists collided, which caused them to skid backwards away from each other. Fu launched herself forward and aimed a flying kick to Taewaya's head, but Taewaya moved to the left, which caused Fu to fly past her. Fu turned around and blocked 2 jabs with her forearms, and returned the jabs with 2 of her own, but Taewaya blocked them both as well, then kicked the side of Fu's body, but Fu blocked it with her arm, and pushed it aside, and leapt up to knee Taewaya in the face. Taewaya leaned back to avoid the knee and stumbled backwards. Elder gods, you quick as hell, Taewaya said as she smirked. Fu landed and rolled her left shoulder and replied, so have you. You're a lot faster now. Before, you would have been struck by those moves. Ino watched as Taewaya winked at Fu and asked, come on, we fighting or pillow talking? Well, your choice, Fu said. Fighting and flirting, eh? Ino thought with an amused smirk. My choice? Taewaya asked as she relaxed her stance. Well, I would prefer the pillow talk, but this is just as fun. I agree, Fu replied before she dashed towards Taewaya again. Ino watched as Taewaya swayed from Fu's quick haymakers, before smacking her hand away, and landing a solid blow to Fu's face with her right fist, but Fu landed a right fist to Taewaya's gut, which made them stagger apart. Taewaya was the first to recover and quickly ran forward and threw a jab at Fu's face, but Fu smacked the fist away, and aimed an elbow to Taewaya's face, but Taewaya pushed that aside. Ino could see that despite how quickly the intensity of the fight was getting, the two had smiles on their faces. Oh, these two have it bad for one another. It's actually kind of cute, Ino thought as she continued to watch the pair's battle. The two continued with their flurry of blows against one another, before both of their fists slammed into each other's faces, sending them falling backwards onto the ground. Taewaya and Fu flip onto their feet at the same time, but it was Taewaya who said, "Whew, that punch had a lot in it, Fu." Fu laughed and replied, as did you, fist. Yeah, I can see you changed a lot in our time away, but despite this, I can still see you in those eyes of yours. Oh? You thought I was someone else? Taewaya asked curiously. Well, you know what is inside of me, right? I can talk to him. He said you felt different than before. More powerful but not fully you. I was afraid that the Taewaya I called my rival was not in her body. I needed to see for myself if it was truly you before I did what I did next, Fu said. And what was that? Taewaya questioned curiously. Fu walked up to Taewaya and stared at her long and hard before she grabbed Taewaya's face and pulled the red-haired Kunoichi into a hard kiss. Ino giggled to herself as Taewaya's eyes bugged out, and before they closed and wrapped the shorter girl into her arms. This is better than any show. But I should give them privacy. Ino thought before she silently went back into the room and laid back in the bed, but before she began to drift off, her mind found itself back to Shino. And then to the kiss the two girls were sharing. And soon, her dream involved kissing Aburam Shino. Village of Hisako Hotel Courtyard. Cage Taewaya. Cotton candy. That was the taste that Taewaya immediately associated to Fu as her tongue explored the orangey mare. Taewaya's arms held the girl close, as she let a faint moan of Fu's name escape her lips, something Fu replied with moaning Taewaya's name back, but before things could get deeper, Fu pulled apart slowly. Taewaya blinked. Taewaya stammered. Nothing smart to say. Fu asked with a small pant. I just wasn't expecting that, Taewaya said. What was that for? It was then Taewaya noticed that there were tears falling down Fu's cheeks. You died. You left this village and got killed. Sure, you came back, but the fact remains that I could have lost you before I could even explore this more. Taewaya's gaze softened and slowly, she wiped the tears away and said, hey. I'm sorry. But I came back better than ever and I won't be going anywhere ever again, so stop those tears. I'm so stupid. Just days ago, you invaded here with those people and we fought, but now I kissed you. How fucked up is this? Fu asked. Well, pretty fucked up, but hey, life is too short to worry about that shit, Taewaya said. Besides, I miss you too. I don't let anyone sleep on me like you did earlier today, you know. Fu laughed softly, and said I still see you as my rival. And I still want to grow stronger to fight you again, Taewaya replied. Then promise me something, Fu whispered. Promise me you won't die again. Promise me that you will come back here to me, so we can finish our battle. I promise. Teiwaya said as she pressed her forehead against Fu's and whispered, but promise me that you'll stay safe and if anything, and I mean anything happens, run and I will find you, my rival. I promise. My rival. Fu replied before she leaned up, and Teiwaya found herself enjoying the taste of cotton candy once again. Village of Hisako Village entrance. UN hunting squad. I guess it's goodbye again, Naruto said to Fu with a small grin. The group now stood at the exit of Hisako with the sun just rising over the horizon. A little more bittersweet than last time though. Yeah, but that won't last. Your friends will heal, and be back in no time, Fu said as she and Naruto shared a fist bump before Fu hugged Haku, and said you take care. Fu then looked to Teiwaya and said, remember the promise. You remember yours as well, Teiwaya replied. Teiwaya then leaned down and captured Fu's lips in a deep lip lock, which caused Naruto, along with everyone else's eyes, to bug out in surprise. Teiwaya then pulled back with reddened cheeks, while a flustered Fu smiled up at her. Until we meet again, Fu said to Teiwaya before she leaned up and kissed her one last time before she looked to the other shinobi and said, it was a pleasure to see all of you again. Please come back anytime. We will if we get another show like that, Anko joked before Kurenai delivered a sharp elbow to Anko's side, which caused her to snort. Fu blushed and said, well goodbye. Before she darted back into the village. Will you be okay on your own, guy? Kurenai asked. I shall, Kurenai-sen. Once Kakashi awakens and Tenten-chan and Eiji-kun along with Samui-chan are awake and moving, we shall come back to Konoha post-haste, so do not fret. Guy exclaimed. Good. Be careful, Guy. This is a whole new thing now, Anko said before she, Guy and Kurenai exchanged fist bumps. Well then Naruto, this is goodbye for now, Amoy said as he clasped his hands together and bowed, while Naruto placed his right fist above his heart and bowed as well before he did the same to Lee, who bowed with left fist against his right palm. Until we meet again, Lee said. Lee then looked to Hinata and Ino and said, you guys be careful. Yeah, it would be a pity to lose you both again, Amoy said. You both do the same and please watch over Tenten and Eiji for us, Hinata said before she and Ino bowed to Lee and Amoy, who bowed as well, and with the goodbyes had, the squad turned around and walked away, heading back home to Konoha. Itakuga no Sato. Shang Tsung. So these are your three chosen, Orochimaru? Shang Tsung questioned as Genimaru, Suigetsu, and Guren stood before Shang Tsung and Orochimaru, the former more pronounced, and the latter leaning against a wall behind them, each of them wearing tattered grey uniforms and chains around their hands and legs. Yes. The three strongest here, Orochimaru replied with a sneer. This will most definitely do, Shang Tsung said before three souls floated into his palms. Tell me Hazuki Suigetsu, what are your shinobi skills? Why does it matter? Suigetsu asked with an indifferent tone. You'd be surprised, Shang Tsung replied calmly. I have the ability to turn my body into a liquid state, and I'm pretty handy with a sword. My dream was to gather all of the swords from the legendary Kiri no Shinibigatana Shichinen Shu. Before I was captured by Orochimaru, Suigetsu explained. Interesting. Shang Tsung said. Then I believe I found the soul your body. And with a thrust of his hand, a soul flew into Suigetsu's body, which his body to seize up as a scream of agony left his lips, emerald light, leaving his open eyes and mouth. Yo, what the hell is this? Genimaru exclaimed furiously, his body vibrating with fury. Orochimaru-sama. Guren asked fearfully. What is going on? All will be well, Guren, Genimaru told her with a small smile, trying to keep the girl beside him calm, something Shang Tsung found admirable. Guren nodded hesitantly as Suigetsu shook on the ground before a green orb flew from his mouth and into Shang Tsung's hand. Thank you for your sacrifice, Suigetsu. Shang Tsung said with a chuckle before placing the soul into his body. All was quiet before Suigetsu's body rose up from the ground, looked around before a smirk appeared on his face, when his eyes met Shang Tsung. Ah. The soul bender. I thank you for your service in returning me to a suitable body, Suigetsu replied, his voice taking on a royal tone. Welcome Prince of Edenia, Shang Tsung replied. I do hope you won't fail me in our Lordess. Of course not. You take me for a pauper? Rain asked. Shang Tsung chuckled and looked to Guren, and asked now Guren. Tell me, what are your abilities? Wait, Genimaru said. Orochimaru-sama, you said if I do whatever you needed, you would grant me a final wish, yes? I did, Orochimaru replied. Then allow them to go free, Genimaru said. Shang Tsung tilted his head with a small smile on his face. Interesting. He then turned to Orochimaru and said, shall you grant his request, even if you know it's certain death? Do not threaten me, Orochimaru hissed out. Shang Tsung chuckled, clearly not frightened by Orochimaru's anger. Instead, he turned back to Genimaru and said, I can see a good general in you. Loyal enough to use your last wish to release them. However, looking into your eyes, your soul also shows kind-heartedness and gentleness. Something I do not need. Shang Tsung released the soul which slammed into Genimaru's body. Genimaru staggered backwards and fell to his knees as green light escaped from his mouth and eyes, as he wailed in agony before soul floated from the body, and it became limp. A moment passed before the eyes lit up with a blue glow. Ryako, the brilliant tactician of Outworld, Shang Tsung said. An apprentice to Shao Kahn himself. Where am I? Ryako asked as he pulled out the chains and snapped them. All in due time, Shang Tsung said. But know this, you've been given a second chance by our Lordess. Do not fail her. Understood. Ryako replied. Now back to you. Shang Tsung said as he looked to the now terrified Gurren. Your skills please. Gurren, Orochimaru said. It's okay. I am ordering you to follow his command. Are you sure, Orochimaru-sama? Gurren asked. Orochimaru nodded. I use Shoten. I convert any matter into crystal, from physical material to moisture in the air, allowing me to turn anything to a weapon. Gurren answered. Interesting. You are very much like Tremor. However, there is a different soul. A more brutal soul that I have in mind. Shang Tsung said before another soul flew from his hand and into her chest. Gurren began to shiver, her breathing becoming shallow as the pain instantly ripped through her body. Gurren's fearful voice began before she let out a large scream, as beams of light exploded from her eyes and mouth as she screamed, which caused Orochimaru to turn away slightly. But soon, that scream turned into insane laughter before the light faded. Shang Tsung collected Gurren's soul as the girl kept laughing. She then reared her head back and screamed out her insane laughter before she lowered her head, revealing orange feline-like eyes. Shang Tsung, Gurren purred with a large grin. Welcome back, Queen of Outworld, Melina Khanum. You have been missed, my creation, Shang Tsung said affectionately. This body feels powerful. More powerful than the original. However, Melina licked the sides of her face. I feel beautiful as well. I can get used to this. I have brought you three as before Kotal Khan's betrayal. You three, along with Tanya, were four pillars of Outworld, with Melina being the vicious and powerful queen, Shang Tsung began. My Lordess has allowed me to return to life to defeat her enemies in this new Earthrealm known as the Shinobi Nations. You three owe her your lives. We owe this Lordess nothing, Rain said. I am the rightful queen of Outworld and I do not take orders, Melina hissed. Ryako remained silent, but his eyes showed displeasure as well. Shang Tsung chuckled and said she knew you would say this, so now I am required to do this. Shang Tsung snapped his fingers, and all three of their eyes glowed a bright white, before fading back to their original light colors. Lordess, Melina muttered. We shall do what she requests. She then blinked. Why did I say that? Because Melina, your lives belong to her, no. As does mine. We are to do what she demands, or else our souls will be ripped apart, and we will suffer a pain only one another has. Shang Tsung said softly. I see. Ryako said before he crossed his arms and leaned back on Orochimaru's desk. Very well. What are our orders? We are to find the reborn forms of Hisashi Hanzo, Kung Lao, Princess Katana, Jade, Cassie Cage and Kuai Liang, and any others that the reborn Thunder God has chosen for his little group and kill them, Shang Tsung said. If we succeed, then we are promised our own personal wishes in the new year our Lordess, Chronica will grant. Shang Tsung then turned around to Orochimaru and said, and this man, Lord Orochimaru, will assist in any armies you need to hunt them down, for he too, is now Chronica's ally. You should have led with me seeing my dear sister again, Shang Tsung, Melina said with a pout. I will enjoy doing this then. Being able to kill anyone right in sight is a plus. Especially considering that vermin Hanzo and Cage. Rain said as he clenched his fist tightly. Ryako chuckled and said, these armies are very skilled, yes. Then I will enjoy conquering anything that comes way, just like my master Shao Kahn. Good, now there's one more thing that must be mentioned. Tanya is in this world well, Shang Tsung said, shocking the three warriors. Where she is, I do not know, but she is alive and roaming. Find her and bring her to me. We have much to talk about. Tanya. Melina licked her lips with a lustful grin. It will be my pleasure. Good. Now, go train your new bodies, and learn all the skills that their previous owners left behind. And when it's time, we shall begin our hunt, Shang Tsung said with a smirk on his face. Konohagakure no Sato entrance gate. Shiranui Genma. Man. I'm so bored, Gemna said to his teammate, Namiyashi Raito, as they stood in front of Konoha's entrance gates, an elongated toothpick in the corner of his mouth. Raito shrugged and said, it could be worse. We could be on a brutal mission or not getting paid. You always gotta take the fun out of complaining, Genma said with a grumble. It was then he noticed something in the distance. It was a group of shinobi. He pulled out a pair of binoculars and immediately recognized two of the shinobi. You're Raito, looks like they're back, Genma said. Alright, I'll go alert Anbu and Hokage-sama, Raito said before he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Genma grinned and said well. Looks like things are about to pick up. Konohagakure no Sato. UN Hunting Squad. Hello Genma-san, Kurenai said. Team UN Hunting Squad is officially returned to Konoha. Hey Kurenai-san. You guys are looking pretty light compared to when you left. Where is Asuma, Guy and Kakashi? Genma asked curiously. Kakashi was injured during battle in another village, so Guy and his team remained behind until he healed. Asuma. Kurenai trailed off. Oh shit. I'm sorry Kurenai-san. He will be missed, Genma said sullenly. Kurenai nodded. Well, get on back into the village guys. The Hokage is expecting you all, Genma said before he tapped the gates. Slowly the gates opened up to reveal the glorious village of Konoha. Welcome back, Genma said. Good to be back, Anko said happily as the group walked through the gates and into the village. Wow, look at how big this place is, Teiwaya said in amazement. Odo was nothing like this. Neither was Kiri, Haku added on. Oh? That's right. It's both of your first times here, Sakura said to Teiwaya and Haku. I can't wait to show you both around. I know all the hottest spots. Not to mention, the shopping. It has been forever since I had a good shopping trip and bar crawl, Teiwaya said thoughtfully. Cool, you take the lead then little pink. Haku giggled at Sakura and said, I'd like that. It feels good to be back home, Ino said happily before she noticed that Naruto, Sasuke and Hinata all had frowns on their faces. What's the matter with you three? Look in front of us, Naruto answered. Ino turned to see 10 Nanbu standing side by side with a low Nanbu with a cat mask in front of him. Okay. That doesn't bode well, Ino said. I wonder what they want, Anko said dryly. I'm pretty sure that's my welcoming wagon, Naruto said. You think it's for you? Hinata questioned. I know it is, Naruto replied. They wouldn't get far if that is the case, Hinata said as she looked to Naruto. I don't think we can fight 10 Nanbu. But I'd like to try. We defeated Shao Kahn, Teiwaya said. What's 10 Nanbu? Say the word Naruto-kun and we will fight, Haku said. I do need a test, Ino suggested with a grin. I'd like to test my mettle against Anbu as well. I may not be as strong, but it would see where I stand after that battle, Sasuke said. Well, welcome to the club then Sasuke, Naruto said with a smirk. We have cookies on Thursdays. Keep in mind, I hate oatmeal cookies, Sasuke said with a smirk. Kurenai merely sighed and said, do not start planning a fight. We are home. Home for you maybe, Naruto muttered. The group paused in the street in front of the 10 Anbu with Kurenai in the lead. Hello, Cat-san. Anbu. Hello Kurenai-san, Cat responded. Yo? Yugao-chan. What's shaking bacon? Anko asked cheerfully. Cat turned her head and said official business Anko-chan. We are here to escort all of you and Uzumaki Naruto to the Hokage immediately. On what grounds? Naruto asked. The Hokage wishes to see you, Cat replied. The Hokage can wait, Naruto said immediately. He does not want to see me right now if he understands what is good for him. Unfortunately he does, Cat replied. And I, along with my Anbu, are here to ensure that happens. And again, he can wait. We've all been through hell and would like to relax before we have to deal with his bullshit, Cat-san. So either you let him know this and let us pass, or we can engage in combat and settle it that way. With those words, Hinata summoned her fans. Sasuke and Sakura wordlessly pulled out kunai. Teiwaya's fists glowed with her emerald light, while Haku and Ino summoned their naginata and staff respectively. In return, the Anbu began to pull their blades out. Cat chuckled softly and said, You genin raise your weapons at Anbu. That is a grave offense. We've defeated beings stronger than mere humans, Naruto said darkly as began to withdraw his Kubikiri Hacho. So you're going to have to force me. Naruto, stand down, Kurenai said. Cat-chan, calm down, Anko said. I will not be told what to do by anyone I don't deem worthy, Naruto replied as he stabbed his blade into the ground as embers of hellfire floated around him. It does not matter what a genin thinks. The Hokage gave you an order and you follow. Wait, that is the Kubikiri Hacho, Cat stated. How did you get that? That blade belongs to Mo. Belongs to me, Naruto replied. I defeated the past owner of this blade to claim it. Do you intend to take it? If any one of you intend to fight, that is an automatic jail sentence and a trial for treason, and if that happens, I will take that blade for my own, since you would be the ringleader of the treasonous affair, Cat said. Over my dead body, Naruto hissed out. That can certainly be arranged, Cat replied with heat in her voice. No offense Cat-san, but we just saved the fucking world, and we'll be doing it again potentially soon. Do you really think we care? Teiwaya asked. Save the world. Interesting imagination, Cat said. Well, they're wrong, Anko replied. You cannot be serious Anko-chan, Cat said. Deadly serious. We just got back from some heavy shit, Anko said as Kurenai nodded in agreement. The air was tense as Naruto and Kat glared at one another before Kurenai said, "Look, we will all go." "Kurenai," Naruto said firmly. "Naruto, I understand," she said softly. "But there are grave things we will need to tell him. For a moment, put aside the anger you feel for this place for how they treated you. Okay?" Naruto's gaze softened before he said, "Very well, but the minute someone attempts anything, I will not hesitate to cut them down." His eyes immediately locked onto Kat's as he said those words. Kat didn't respond, but her grip on her katana's hilt tightened. "Disengage," Naruto commanded, which caused his team to relax, and together, the group was escorted by Anbu to the Hokage's office. All the while, Naruto kept his eyes on Kat, while Kat did the same to Naruto. Konohagakure no Sato Hokage office. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto wasn't in a good place. He had been dreading this moment since he was told of his friend's mission to bring him back. Not because he feared the old man in front of him, but because of the rage he felt towards him. This man, the man he called grandfather, had lied about his parents. A grave offense to him. He had been lied to before, and that didn't end well for many people, and if the Hokage continued to lie to him, things would go really bad, really fast. Uzumaki Naruto. "I can't even begin to say how disappointed I am in you," the Sandaime said. "You let that one mission go to your head and abandoned your team. And for what? To clear your head. You are true, and we are done here," Naruto said before he turned around and began to walk out of the office. "Naruto," Kurenai warned softly. "I've heard enough. If he wishes to continue spreading nonsense, he can do it without me," Naruto said. "Also, don't hold my shinobi status over my head. Even with this hiatus, I am more shinobi than many outside these doors, and I will do what I can even without it. Uzumaki Naruto, you will stay here until I am done speaking to you," the Sandaime ordered. "Uzumaki, or what about Namikaze? I think that name suits me better, don't you think?" Naruto challenged. "Oh shit," Anko said with alarm. "Oh boy, look at how clammy he suddenly got," Teiwaya said in amusement. "This should prove interesting," Hinata said. Naruto could instantly see the change in the Hokage by mentioning his father's last name. The strong tone faded into surprise, his old skin paled and his eyes became wide. "Oh? You're quiet now, aren't you?" Naruto asked. "I figured that would shut you up. I warned your attack dogs that you didn't want this meeting right now. We could have handled this amicably if they had just backed off." "How?" the Sandaime simply asked. "How? My mother held the Kyuubi inside of her. You really think she wouldn't show me that night? Or maybe you thought I wouldn't ever talk to her? Either way, you're idiotic to think so," Naruto said angrily. "Naruto, what you just revealed." "Yeah, we already know," Teiwaya said. "All of his teammates know. They got to see our pasts. All of it. And honestly, that just makes this village worse," Sakura murmured angrily. "He was a small child and they treated him so harshly. It's unfair. This village is nice, but it holds deplorable people," Haku said. "This place sickens me to my core," Hinata hissed out. Sasuke nodded in agreement. "You hide my parents from me, and if Mizuki didn't open his mouth, you would have hid why people abused and ignored me," Naruto said with a sneer. "I did what I had to do, Naruto," the Sandaime said. "Your father asked me to reveal the truth. To tell them you were a hero, but things didn't pan out that way. And yet instead of placing me with people my father trusted, you left me alone to be harassed day in and day out. Beaten, starved, ridiculed and more. I understand treating everyone like equals, but you never did that with me," Naruto said angrily. "And the one time that people saw me as the hero my father wanted me to be seen as, you ordered them back. Do you understand what that caused? Do not raise your voice at me, Naruto," the Sandaime warned with a hint of edge lining his voice, as he slowly stood up from his chair. "You do not understand the choices I had to make that night. I understand your anger, but I am your leader before anything else." Naruto gripped the hilt to his blade as anger embers began to float around him, his rage beginning to build as the Sandaime said, "You have no right busting into my office, yelling accusations at me, then demanding an explanation for my actions. As the Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, I have to make tough choices for the sake of my village and those within it. Hiding your parents and the Kyuubi were some of those hard choices. I don't care about your fucking choices." Naruto yelled in anger as hellfire appeared in his eyes. "You hide these things from me after years of me begging you. And the one chance I decided to want to be happy with the person I love, you send a team to bring me back when my sensei, the one who actually cares, gave me express permission to go on a sabbatical to figure things out. And because of this, Inuzuka Kiba, Akamichi Choji, Abiram Shino, Saratobi Asuma, even Anko-san and Kurenai-san. These are the names of the shinobi that had or did die because of your foolish orders to bring me back." "What?" the Sandaime stammered out in disbelief. and your short-sighted attempt to bring me back to this hellhole. They died during this mission while Hatake Kakashi, Narushikamaru, Tinin, Rock Lee and Hyuga Neji wouldn't be injured because of you. All of the blood they shed is on both of our hands. Naruto, you can't truly be blaming yourself for Shao Kahn and what happened to Team Guy. Neither of those were your fault, Anko said. This foolish, selfish old man ordered all of you to follow me instead of just leaving me be. Sure, for the world that helped, but I blame myself just as much as I blame this spineless worm for every death and injury that happened to all of you, Naruto answered. None of you deserved what happened. And it's my burden to deal with. Naruto then looked at the speechless Sandaime and said, if you had just left me be, I would have come back. It was always my intention. I just wanted to find myself and be happy for once in my goddamn life. And you? You decided that me being miserable in this village meant more to you than me being happy, and for someone that calls themselves the grandfather of Konoha as well as my surrogate grandfather, you sure do fail to live up to both monikers. Naruto told him, his voice void of emotion. Naruto's eyes took on a hard edge as he said, so you know what you can do with your commanding tone and lies. You can go to hell and drown in a sea of hellfire, and I hope when you do, you see the faces of my parents looking down in shame of you. So stay the fuck away from me, deceiver. And with those words turned around and stormed out of the office. Konohagakure no Seido Hokage office. Yuhi Kurenai. Wow, Anko said. He did not hold back at all. Kurenai let out a small sigh. She knew this was going to get explosive, but it was so much worse than she thought. It felt so raw to see Naruto like this. She was sincerely worried. All of you remain here. The Sandaime told them, sounding so much older than he had moments before. And tell me what happened on this mission. From Wave on. Do we have Teiwaya was interrupted by Haku nudging her side, which made her groan. Fine. Well, when we got to Wave, it was in the middle of a celebration. Kurenai began, but had she been paying attention, she would have noticed Hinata sneak out the room. Konohagakure no Seido Hokage Monument. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto was sitting out on the Yondaime's head with his chin on his knees and his arms wrapped around his legs, as he gazed out at the village listlessly. He didn't know what to think anymore. The Hokage had been lying to him for so many years, and it was tearing him apart knowing this, and if the one person he knew he could trust had been lying to him, what made him think he could trust anyone else? Uzumaki Naruto, Hinata's voice said from behind him. Naruto stood up and turned around to see Hinata pointing her fan at him, particles of Edenian magic glowing around her. Hyuga Hinata, Naruto replied. You have a lot of anger in your heart and eyes. I'm here to exercise it, Hinata told him. Are you challenging me to combat then? Naruto asked. It's the only way to clear your mind, Hinata said. Naruto smirked and said, then let's settle our score, Hinata. Hinata smirked as well before the two charged at each other, Hinata armed with her fans and Naruto with a kunai. Konohagakure no Seido Hokage Monument. Hyuga Hinata. Hinata skidded backwards against the ground with her arms in front of her face, as Naruto's fists slammed into them. She quickly grabbed his arm and spun around twice before she tossed him towards a few trees, but Naruto recovered and landed on the side of the tree, then pushed himself off towards her, an aura of hellfire covering his body. Hinata summoned her fans and rapidly waved them up, causing a twister of Edenian magic to appear, which caused Naruto to float into the air, his hellfire disappearing in the flurry of magic. Hinata leapt into the air and landed a blow against Naruto's chest, but Naruto landed a blow to her chest, which sent them both flying from the twister and landing on the ground with a skid. This certainly brings back memories of our first spar, Hinata spoke as she rubbed her chest. Naruto chuckled and rubbed his chest as well and replied, we were more durable then. There was a lot that we were then, Hinata said softly. We were? Naruto replied. It is amazing, isn't it? That we were able to find each other again after so long, Hinata said with a smile. It is totally unexpected, but I tend to enjoy life like that, Naruto replied with a smile on his face. Hinata smirked, then charged forward and leapt into the air with a shout, and aimed a flying kick at Naruto's head. Naruto blocked the kick, which caused him to skid to the side enough for her to leap into the air, and use her Edenian magic to send her rocketing towards him with her right hip, but Naruto disappeared with a burst of hellfire to avoid the move. Hinata landed on the ground, and Naruto appeared in a burst of hellfire above her with his right hand in the air, and with a shout, he swung his open hand down towards Hinata's head, but Hinata blocked it with her arms and pushed him away. Naruto backflipped in the air and landed to the ground where Hinata quickly dashed towards him, and began to repeatedly lunge her arms forward in quick strikes, 5 of which struck Naruto's chest. Naruto then caught her wrist and pulled her into a knee to the gut, which made her stagger backwards, but Naruto then pulled her forward. But this time, Hinata leapt up and kneed Naruto in the neck, which made him stagger backwards, where Hinata then leapt up and delivered a dropkick to his chest, which made Naruto fly backwards into the air, but he recovered and landed on the ground. Naruto then kicked her off of him, and as she recovered in the air and landed on her feet, she smiled and watched as he flipped to his feet. Hinata forgot how nice it was to just fighting without the threat of dying. But maybe it was because she was battling with someone she trusted with everything she had. But despite this, Hinata did want to defeat him. And she would. The princess always keeps her promises after all. Nice one, Naruto said with a smirk on his face. I hope you aren't finished yet, Hinata said. Not even remotely, Naruto replied. Hinata smirked and motioned for Naruto to come at her. With a burst of hellfire, Naruto vanished only to appear before her and land 2 solid blows to her chest, and then to her face, before he ducked her roundhouse kick, and tripped her with a sweeping kick, which sent her to the ground. Naruto rolled on top of her and held a kunai heated with hellfire above her neck, and said, "Submit, I have you pinned." Hinata smirked and kicked Naruto off of her, then threw both of her fans towards him. Naruto rolled onto the ground and spun his chained kunai to deflect the fan, then lunged the spear forward with a "get over here." Hinata re-summoned her fans and smacked the chain to the side, and threw both of her fans again, but Naruto pulled the chain back and kicked both fans away with hellfire-infused feet, then launched his chained kunai towards Hinata again. This time, Hinata rolled to the left and dashed towards Naruto and landed a solid knee to his face, which sent him to the ground where she landed on top of him and pulled out a kunai and pressed it against his neck. The two panted for a moment before Hinata smirked and asked, "Finished already?" "I'm not done yet," Naruto breathed out. "I wouldn't expect you to be," Hinata replied softly. But then she caught it. There was this smoldering look that was in his eyes, the same look she had seen that night. The night where she had let her guard down and gave herself to her desires for the Grandmaster of the Shiraiyu. "There has been one thing that I've wanted to from the minute I saw you again as both the Princess of Edenia and the Princess of the Hyuga clan," Hinata told him softly. "Hinata?" Naruto murmured softly, his voice questioning and unsure. "I've needed this for so long, and now I can finally show you what I've missed and what I've craved," Hinata told him before she tossed the kunai in her hand a wand and bent down and pressed a deep kiss onto Naruto's lips. Naruto's eyes immediately closed and returned her deep kiss, their tongues battling for control, as Hinata felt Naruto remove the kunai pressed against her stomach, only for both of his arms to wrap around her body. Desire filled her veins as Naruto leaned up from the ground, their kiss become rougher as her hands gripped the back of his shirt, desperate to rip it from his body, as her legs wrapped around his hips, and clung to him as if he was a life preserver, and she was in the ocean. So long had she needed this. Needed him. It was torture being so close to him yet feel so far away, and watching him be with Haku while she was left drowning for him. But now she had him and she could feel how much she missed her and needed her. But suddenly, she felt him pull away, which made her open her eyes and look at him questioningly as she panted out, "Why did you stop?" "I miss this," Naruto panted out. "But I can't do this to Haku. No matter how much I have missed doing this with you." Hinata felt frustration bubble up in her veins, but she let out a small laugh. I know. Loyalty has always been your strength. No matter who you are." For a second, I forgot everything and let my mind take me back to when it was just back then," Naruto said. "But that is in our past lives." Hinata let a bitter smirk appear on her face as she replied, "For you it is, but for me, it's my past and my current." Naruto looked surprised. "You? Ever since you walked me home that night after my uncle died," Hinata confirmed. "And it only grew when you saved me from those bullies. All I ever wanted before my past life came into the picture was to be with you. But I understand why you didn't. It was obvious that you were very shy back then," Naruto told her. "Plus I don't think your clan would have liked it had you decided to act on it." "I don't care what they think now," Hinata said. "I want to be with you. You've earned my trust and my affections, and no one else is worthy of it. Not when you were Hanzo and not now when you are Naruto. I need you. And from your instant reaction, you desire me too. I can feel it. I won't lie to you. I do. The minute that our lips met, I was reminded of us. Of what we were, and what we could be. I was also reminded of that sweet and innocent girl I had met so long ago. But I can't betray Haku," Naruto replied. "What did she do to earn your love?" Hinata asked softly. "What did she do? At least tell me this." "She saved me in a way you and Sakura couldn't," Naruto answered softly. "You were too shy to even approach me, but if you had talked to me, and been there with me, I could easily see myself with you easily, but you didn't, and I was left all alone. Until I met her. She gave me something that no one else could, and that was love. And as much as I desire exploring our past and creating something new for our future, I can't do this to her. Haku means more to me than that. I understand. Hinata said softly, forcing herself to keep the sob that wanted to rip through her heart at bay. She had never had her heart broken before, not as Katana or Hinata, so to experience this with the one person that helped heal her after Liu Kang's betrayal and the one person that she viewed as her own personal hero since she was little. It felt agonizing. But she would accept his choice. No matter how much it hurt her, because she truly did care about him, and if he was happy with Haku, then so be it. But as she stared into Naruto's eyes, she could see that his choice was hurting him as well. It was breaking his heart as well to be doing this to her. It was comforting in a way that he shared her pain. Hinata pressed her forehead against Naruto's, and said, then just one more. One more kiss to say goodbye. One more. Naruto replied softly. Hinata leaned forward and captured Naruto's lips in a soft but bittersweet kiss, which he returned just as soft before they separated slowly. I'm sorry. Naruto whispered against her lips sadly. As am I. Hinata replied before she rose up from Naruto's lap and said, but I will be okay, and despite this, you and I will never part again, for I will be with you always. As I with you. Naruto replied with a now sadness in his eyes. Hinata smiled and walked away from Naruto, and waited until she reached the trail that would lead her back to the village, before she fell onto her knees and wept openly. But it was then she felt arms wrap around her, and when she looked up, she was surprised to see Ino was in front of her. But beside Ino was Teiwaya, Haku and Sakura, and while Sakura looked sad at Hinata's pathetic state and Teiwaya looked sympathetic, Haku also looked sad. Why would a rival show sadness for her? It's okay. Ino said as she rubbed Hinata's back tenderly. Let it out, okay? Hinata didn't want to show weakness in front of her. Not a rival. Not the one Naruto had decided to be with, but the pain in her heart overrode her pride, and she let herself cry against Ino's chest, as the other girl rubbed her back softly. You guys take her to hot springs. I will stay with Naruto-kun, Hinata heard Haku say. She suddenly felt Ino scoop her up and Ino said, let's go soak. These hot springs is the perfect place to relax sore muscles after the last few days, Hinata said as she sunk into the hot water. After finding Hinata in the forest, Ino, Teiwaya and Sakura went to the hot springs nearby the Hokage's office, while Haku remained with Naruto to assist him. This feels so good after all we've been through, Sakura added. You got that right. After dying and coming back, this is exactly what I needed, Teiwaya groaned out as she let her head dip back in comfort. I forgot how good an after mission soak could be, Ino murmured before she sighed out. Fuck, this feels nice. So what happened with the Hokage? Hinata asked softly. No idea, Ino said. The minute Hinata left, the Hokage dismissed all of us genin. Sasuke decided to go home to sleep, and Sakura made the suggestion of finding you, and soak in the hot springs. However, none of us expected to find you that way. What exactly happened? After Naruto-kun ran off, I chased after to the top of the Hokage monument and sparred with him. Hinata murmured softly. That wasn't all that happened, was it, princess? Teiwaya asked. I had pinned him against the ground and we kissed. Elder gods, did we kiss? Hinata said as a blush appeared on her face. But despite us wanting the same thing, he also said he loves Haku too much to leave her. Oh, you got rejected, that's bullshit, Teiwaya said. You two have perfect synergy like Haku does with him. But I get it, the guy sure is loyal. He really is, Sakura said softly. It's admirable, but I wish my heart didn't feel like Kano ripped it out, Hinata murmured softly. Don't mention that Aussie fucker, Teiwaya growled out hatefully before the hate faded and she said, look, I gotta ask, but what the fuck is your history with him? I too am curious about this, Ino said with a serious look. I already know your past with him, Hinata-chan, but it seems it goes deeper than that. Like it goes through your past life as well, Sakura said. Seems everyone wants to know it. Very well. I trust all of you, so I will tell you, Hinata said. Sakura-chan, as Ino-chan and Teiwaya-chan know, I was a princess of Edenia, but my realm was taken over by Shao Kahn after his 10th consecutive Mortal Kombat victory. I saw that in your past images, but it's still amazing, Sakura said with an odd look. I grew up to be an assassin, similar to Naruto's past life, but was eventually saved by a humble and kind Shaolin monk known as Liu Kang. Hinata let a sad smile appear on her face at the name, while Ino frowned. It was thanks to him, his Lee's past life known as Kung Lao, Teiwaya's past parents, Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade, Jackson Briggs, Tomasa Furbata, who was known as Smoke, and Ino's past life known as Jade and him, that I was able to fight for Earthrealm and shake off my father's influence, Hinata explained. But things took a turn for the worst. After gaining allies with the police officers known as Cable and Curtis Stryker, and a Matakan warrior known as Grey Cloud, or by his title, Nightwolf, and Amoy's past life, Kuai Liang or Sub-Zero, we would all be slain by my past mother, Sindel, and in turn, become revenants and serve under Quan Kai. The same Quan Kai that Hanzo Hasashi, Naruto's past life, served under with the name of Scorpion. Liu Kang soon fell with us, but my father was slain by him, Hinata said. She then looked to Sakura and said, after that, Shinnok, the fallen elder god that Teiwaya's past life, Cassie Cage, would defeat, appeared and lead us against Earthrealm. Somehow during that, Johnny Cage defeated Shinnok and Hanzo, Kuai Liang and Jackson Briggs became human again. 20 years passed and Quan Kai somehow managed to free Shinnok before he died. We all fought, Cassie defeated Shinnok and that was it. The reason I gave this brief history lesson is because all of this ties together to how I reunited and fell in love with Hanzo. Hinata explained before she let out a soft breath. I was training in the barren fields of NarutoxHarem. When I received a vision, Hinata began. The vision? Ino asked, immediately interested. Hinata nodded then replied yes. I received a vision. Flashback outskirts of the NarutoxHarem fortress. Empress Katana Kanem. Katana sat alone in the barren area of the NarutoxHarem, her glowing green eyes reverting back to the glowing yellowish red of the revenants. She had seen it. Earthrealm had been taken over by Shao Kahn on that fateful day, but she had gathered all of the realms together and assassinated the brutal ruler. She was hailed as an empress in this new world, not as a revenant, but as herself or what she used to be. But as quick as the vision came, it went, leaving her, the empress of the NarutoxHarem, the defiled and twisted Katana Kanem, in the barren wasteland of the NarutoxHarem, her eyes locked on her hands. Was that vision of a different time or was it something that she could still obtain? For that she did not know, but something seemed to awaken in her. Something she had thought had perished all those years ago when she was formed into this cursed form. Hope. Lady Katana. I finally found you. A voice said from behind her. Katana turned around to see a revenant man's scaled silver mask that hid the bottom of his face with long, wispy silver long hair that seemed to float back, regardless of where the wind blew. And he wore a scaled metal V-shaped armor with black leather beneath it, a scaled metal loincloth that stretched to his thighs, scaled metal gauntlets and shin armor with leather pants and tabi shoes on it. Hello Smonenra, Katana replied as she stood up from her kneeling spot, facing the former Lin Kuei turned revenant. Smoke is fine Lady Katana, Smoke replied. I only told Cage that to strike fear into his puny human heart, Smoke replied as he leapt off of the decaying demonic horse and landed in front of her. Emperor Kang sent many of us to find you. He was concerned that you went missing and because of Kung Lao's disappearance, we were sent to find you. Katana let out a small sigh. It had been ages since she heard that name. A few weeks after Cassie Cage defeated Shinnok, Kung Lao suddenly vanished. Liu Kang sent out scouts to search for them, but they never returned. Liu Kang went mad with grief, and since that time 3 years ago, their union as Emperor and Empress had become slightly strained. Not only due to his controlling nature born out of concern that she will disappear as Kung Lao did, but his rage over Raiden condemning them to this fate was making him belligerent. All he seemed to focus on was trying to get back at Raiden, forsaking any relationship with her and his allies. But despite this strain, he still showed her that he loved her, and she still loved him dearly, and wanted to see his dream come true in killing the Thunder God. Forgive me, I came out to release some stress and to think, Katana replied. Has the thought of Jade gotten to you again? Smoke questioned. Katana nodded. When Jade's revenant form vanished after Raiden defeated Shao Kahn, Katana had been devastated, but she was forced to carry on, due to the orders of her master, Quan Kai, but with him gone, she was now able to properly grieve her missing Athenian sister. With Jade gone, Kung Lao gone and her union with the Emperor strained, Katana found herself confiding in the ex-Lin Kuei member, who seemed to also share his grief, after his brother-in-arms managed to return to his human form, making them enemies forevermore. Do not worry, I will return to Liu Kang at once, Katana said with a nod, hoping that these visions would fade away, and she could return to her main objective. Making Raiden pay for all the suffering she, her love and her allies had faced because of his choices. The images that the vision gave did not go away. It had been 2 weeks since she had received the visions of what could have been, and the images still stayed strong in her mind, making that all too fatal emotion known as hope grow within her heart. Despite trying to force that hopeful emotion down, it continued to grow within her, causing her old personality to show, and while it was still twisted by these cursed state, it felt so much weaker than it had before she got the visions. When she had first turned into a revenant by Quan Kai, she was bound to serve with blind loyalty, no matter what horrible choice was given to her, and that continued when Shinnok to the helm, but now, she was free of their control. And that made her ask the question she had been dreading to ask since getting that vision. Was she truly bound to this fate of ruling over the Netherem, or could find a way to revert to the regal and beautiful image she had seen in her vision, and be truly free? Regardless of the answer, Katana knew couldn't keep this facade of the calm and imposing empress when inside, her mind was riddled with these questions and doubts. Instead of traversing the barren Netherem as she had before, she was now overlooking it from her balcony in the room she shared with the Emperor, a sense of loneliness filling her veins. The distance between her and Liu Kang had only grown. With his darkening thoughts of Raiden and her own thoughts of the vision and her future, what was once a small insignificant crack had grown into a canyon, and it was painful to her to see this happen to them. He had spared her life when they met when she tried to kill him, and did all he could to protect her and be with her, and he grew enraged with grief when she had perished against her mother during the slaughter of Earthrealm's warriors. She owed him for opening her eyes to her father, Shao Kahn's madness, and for sparing her life, and yet. Before she could finish that thought, the balcony doors behind her, but didn't turn around to face the intruder, for she knew who was behind her. Liu? Katana said as she turned around to face the Emperor and her betrothed. Despite the ravine in form graying his skin and his eyes being yellow, she could still see the determination, the courage and the strength the former Shaolin monk held. The attributes that drew her to him. But she knew that these same attributes had been twisted. Just like hers but unlike hers, he seemed to be drowning in this twisted version of himself, while she was slowly but surely rising from the depths of them. Katana, you missed the meeting today, Liu Kang said as he stood beside her, his hands placed behind him. My mind has been elsewhere admittedly, so I came out here to think, Katana told him. I could tell. Since Anenra found you traveling the Netherem, you have been much like the Earthrealm's weather, unpredictable, Liu Kang said to her with a small chuckle. Katana looked to Liu Kang and for a moment, she wanted to tell him about it. About the vision that had been plaguing her mind, but she bit her tongue and instead opted to reply with, do you think we can ever change? Change? Liu Kang questioned. Yes. Like, do you think we can ever return to who we were before? Katana elaborated. Liu Kang moved his arms forward to cross them and replied, the only one who could have done so would have been Quan Kai, and that bastard Thunder God let him die, taking away our chance to return to our normal selves. Katana remained silent. She knew he would answer like that. Liu Kang's mind was only locked on one objective, and that was to kill Raiden at any and all costs, but a part of her felt that even if he had the chance to change back, he would remain in this cursed form. But after we kill Raiden, it wouldn't matter because soon, all of the Netherem and all the realms along with it will be just like us, Liu Kang announced as he swept his arm from side to side at the barren ground below them and in the distance. Wait. The other realms? Katana asked. What are you intending to do? You'll find out in due time, Empress, Liu Kang said before he wrapped an arm around her and murmured, now come, let us retire to our chambers. Katana nodded and allowed him to lead her back to their chambers, but as she walked with him, she couldn't help but feel a ball of dread fill her stomach. Emperor Kang is planning to attack Outworld. Those were the words that froze her heart to the core when Smoke told her of the news. It had been 3 years since her vision and Kung Lao's disappearance, and just a week ago, Raiden, donned in a dark attire and glowing red eyes, appeared before them and tossed the head of their former master at their feet, and threatened them with a fate worse than death, if they were to cause any trouble for Earthrealm. Despite her hatred of the Thunder God, she understood his threat, and opted to remain away from the corrupted Thunder God's gaze until further notice, but Liu Kang's fury immediately after the Thunder God left was palpable. Their relationship was heavily strained from his one-track mind of getting revenge on the Thunder God, but she still held some feelings for the former Shaolin, but so out of worry for her former love and emperor, she requested for Smoke to watch over him as best as he could. And thankfully, he was able to do so due to his Smoke abilities. That cannot be true, Smoke. He can't be planning something like this, Katana spoke with disbelief in her voice. He is. After watching him for some time, he summoned Nightwolf and Sindel to the war room to discuss our roles for the impending invasion of Outworld, Smoke said with a cross of his arms. From what I was able to hear, you are to be the first to Outworld due to your knowledge of the realm, and then open a portal for us to gain entry, and then once we do, we go to Earthrealm. Thank you, Smoke, Katana said as anger began to fill her being. Did Liu Kang not realize what would occur if a hint of what he was planning was to reach Raiden? They would all surely perish under this darker god of thunder. She had to stop this. Return to your post and be discreet, Katana told him before she rushed off to the east of the fortress where the war room sat. The minute she entered the main hallway that would lead to the war room of the fortress, but to her annoyance, there was a Revenant that stood in front of the doors, lazily twirling his pistol on his right finger. The Revenant male with short and messy chestnut brown hair who wore a SWAT hat, and had a navy blue short-sleeved shirt with a silver-white trim on the shoulders of the shirt with a police badge hanging from around his neck. He also wore black elbow pads, black pants and black knee pads above the pants, a chest gun holster, along with a waist gun holster and 2 batons strapped to his back. "Curtis Stryker, move or be moved," the Empress demanded angrily. "Can't do that, Empress," Stryker replied as he pulled down his hat over his glowing yellow eyes, his Brooklyn accent thick as he spoke. "Emperor Kang, Nightwolf and Sindel are in the middle of their war meeting, and told me to keep all of the others out. I warned you," Katana said before she kicked Stryker in the face, which sent his body crashing through the double doors of the war room and landed to the ground. With anger in her veins, Katana stormed into the war room where Liu Kang and 3 others stood. The first was a revenant woman with long gray hair with a black strip of hair going down the middle that reached the curve of her back. A V-shaped purple leather leotard revealed the cleavage of her generously sized bust. The leotard was attached to a leather short-sleeve jacket with a high collar, black leather fishnet sleeves, black gloves with a purple strip down the middle and high-heeled boots. The second revenant was a male with flowing black hair, white war paint on the bottom half of his face, with red war paint on top of it, that stretched down his cheeks and 3 red lines going down his bottom lip to his chin, which looked like the bottom half of a skull. He also wore a black and gray leather vest that revealed the red war paint that streaked down his shoulders to his arms beneath his white, spiky gauntlets, a black and gray leather breechcloth, which had a white leather wrap belt and wrap above it, black and gray pants and finally white boots with spikes on it, and attached to each side of his waist was a pair of tomahawks. These 2 were her mother, Sindel, and Nightwolf, and together with the NarutoxHarem Emperor, these 3 were responsible for leading their demonic army. "Katana," Liu Kang said with a nod. "Daughter, you are just in time," Sindel said with an approving yet menacing smile. "We were just talking about you." "Were you, mother?" Katana asked angrily. "Or were you all talking about me leading an army into Outworld and Earthrealm?" "Oh, so she knows," Nightwolf stated softly. "Nothing gets by you, Empress." "Mother, Nightwolf, please give us privacy. And pick up Stryker from the floor," Katana ordered. Sindel chuckled slowly and used her Edenian magic to float Stryker to his feet, where he rubbed his head and said to the former Empress of Edenia, "Thank you. Come you two, perhaps we can get some training in while they work things out," Sindel said as she floated out of the room. Nightwolf followed but spared Katana a look before he and Stryker left the room and closed the doors, leaving Katana and alone. "How did you find out?" Liu Kang questioned with narrowed eyes. "It doesn't matter how I found out. What matters is that I did," Katana replied. "Why are you not heeding Raiden's words? You saw what he did to Shinnok, and yet you decide to defy him now, after some semblance of peace has passed." "Raiden should have thought about that before he took Kung Lao's life," Liu Kang replied, his voice soft, but it shook with fury. "Liu Kang, Shinnok was an elder god, and Raiden delivered us his head as a promise of retribution if we stepped out of line. Planning something like this is suicide for us," Katana said. "I despise Raiden as much as you, but I know that crossing him will lead us to ruin. Raiden has caused all of this with his pathetic visions of a fake future. He caused all of our deaths. Kung Lao was my Shaolin brother. He was arrogant, yes, but he was my brother, and I refuse to allow this injustice to stand." Liu Kang bellowed as flames exploded around him. "Liu Kang, I understand your loss. I lost Jade as well, but to cause a war, that will shake the realms. It is insane," Katana said as she took a step towards. "What if Kung Lao left in a Tharem? We all hate this revenant life we live, but he was the most outspoken of it. What if he found a chance to change that like Kuai Liang, Jackson Briggs and Hanzo Hisashi?" Liu Kang, but he shook his head and looked up, revealing the swirling darkness that rested in his glowing yellow eyes to her, which caused her to take a step back. "Kung Lao despised Raiden, and swore on his existence to both of us that Raiden will die for what he has done. He would never betray us and leave. It's not his way. He killed Kung Lao. I know that he did," Liu Kang said as he clenched his fists angrily. He then calmed down, and let out a breath and said, "And the best way to gain revenge for our lost lives in Kung Lao's is to defeat and conquer all that Raiden loves. We will strike Outworld to gain more allies, and then we take Earthrealm, and I will not stop until his head is on a pike as a fate worse than death." "Liu Kang, you must hold off, please. Do not do anything rash or else it will be the end of us all," Katana warned as she placed her hands against his forearms. But instead of caving into her gentle request as she thought he would, he pushed her away from him and said, "He has made a grave mistake in threatening us, and I will see him die." Katana scowled and angrily spat, "So that's it. You're going to sacrifice all of us for a chance that could doom us all. Don't you wish for the same thing, Katana?" Liu Kang asked back, venom equal in his twisted voice. "I do. More than anything I wish for him to die," Katana replied before she replied, "but not at the cost of our allies. Shinnok is gone. Quan Kai is gone. Kung Lao and Jade are gone. We barely have anyone left. You think we can take down an incensed thunder god to cut the head off of an elder god? You say that you wish for him to die, and yet it sounds like you refuse to combat him. Liu Kang asked. Not when he brings a decapitated elder god before us, Katana replied angrily. When you and I became the Emperor and Empress of the NarutoxHarem, we swore vengeance on Raiden, but not against this Raiden. You think this Raiden would do what he did to Shinnok? He was a foolish buffoon. This one is a deadly storm that we cannot face. Do not draw his ire. What is a storm against a raging inferno? Liu Kang said darkly. Katana stared at him in stunned silence. It doesn't matter what I have to do or sacrifice. I will see Raiden die beneath my feet for all these he has done. For all that he has caused. Liu Kang said as he clenched his fists tightly before he looked to her, his eyes glowing with fury. And if anyone gets in my way, whether those in Earthrealm or anyone here, I will kill them, because I won't stop here. Katana stared at him for a moment, before she muttered I understand. Before she turned around and walked away as quickly as possible. Then flashback. Konohagakure no Sato, Hot Springs. Hyuga Hinata. Whoa? Sakura murmured. How bizarre, so you received a vision which seemingly dampened the twisted nature of the revenants. I wonder how that occurred, Ino muttered suspiciously. Yes, it was truly surprising, but it put me on the right track. Hinata replied with a small smile. But after hearing Liu Kang wanting to wage war against Raiden, I knew that I had to escape as quickly as possible. Hinata then let a bittersweet smile appear on her face as she said, I didn't know it then, but that would be the last night I would speak or see Liu Kang ever again, but if I did, I would have planned it all better. That was your last day with him. How did that come about? Sakura asked curiously. Hinata shut her eyes, and let her mind drift backwards into her other life. Flashback outskirts of the NarutoxHarem fortress. Empress Katana Kanem. He is truly set on doing this, Katana said to Smoke as they sat in his chambers. Due to the total implosion of her union with the Emperor, she would stay in Smoke's chambers secretly. She was well aware of the risk she was putting both Smoke and herself, but she needed a safe space someone in the fortress. And Smoke's chambers were just that. Safe. The war with Raiden will likely end in many fatalities, Smoke said as he crossed his arms, his eyes closed. However, I do also desire Raiden's death for allowing us to dwell in this cell. As do I, but doing it so brazenly. It is suicide for us, Katana said. What's one more death? Smoke questioned darkly. Katana couldn't help but chuckle at the morbid words, but then she stood up from the bed and walked to Smoke's balcony and asked, Do you ever wish you could go back? Back to what we were before our deaths? There was silence in the chamber before Smoke replied I do, but what brought this on suddenly, Empress? It's nothing. Just a thought, Katana replied. I understand. I have watch tonight in case anyone invades us, so make yourself at home, Smoke told her before he walked out the door, but just as he reached it, Katana turned to look at him. Thank you, Katana said. Smoke nodded and walked out of the room, leaving Katana alone. Katana then turned back, and overlooked the barren wasteland and whispered, if only I could. But it was then she noticed something. It was a flash of light in the distance. She narrowed her eyes and leapt over the balcony, and as she fell, she summoned her fans and began to rapidly twirl around, summoning a tornado of sparkling Adenian magic, to slow her descent where she then landed on her feet. She rushed over to the stable where the rotting and demonic horses sat and leapt on top of it, and with an echoing neigh, the horse sped out of the stable and down the lone and barren NarutoxHarem wasteland. 30 minutes passed and Katana's steed began to slow as Katana's eyes locked onto the swirling ethereal blue portal before her. She jumped off the horse and walked to the portal, and through the ethereal blue tint of the portal, she could see leaves. Bright red leaves gently floating down to the ground, and when she glanced up, she saw that the sky was dark with many stars brightening up the sky. Katana blinked in surprise. No, it couldn't be. Katana whispered as she took a step back. It is surely not possible. She may have only been there once, but she knew what she was seeing. This was Earthrealm. The very realm she had perished in during her father's failed invasion. The very same realm that Liu Kang and many of her allies came from. The same realm that the Emperor wanted to take over to spite the Thunder God. And she was standing right in front of it. If she truly wanted it, she could easily escape and never return to this elder godless world, but then a question appeared in her head. Could she do it? Could she actually do it? It was then she noticed that the portal was beginning to shrink. Katana's eyes widened in surprise. It was closing. It's now or never, a voice whispered into her mind. A voice that sounded similar to Jade's. Either remain in this hell or seek out redemption. This may be your only chance to make this choice. Katana stared for a moment longer before she made her decision and leapt through the portal, where it closed immediately after. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.